Hey guys, how it's doing? It's day 3, the 20th of February 2025, and this morning my blood pressure was 111/74. I'll explain a little bit more about that in a minute. My pulse was 77 and my blood sugar was 5.1. Am I upset about any of this? No, not really. What I was upset about was that my blood pressure machine wasn't working properly. I had to do it 7 times and I had to change the batteries. So, I finally got a reading that didn't say that I didn't have a pulse or a blood pressure. So, yeah. Okay, so I changed those. Yeah, so I woke up at 1:30 this morning. I'm reading straight from my book. I need to pay more attention to my body cues as if I had not been wearing... If I'd not been wearing pads... I would have had to change my clothes and the bed this morning. Also the sugar headache, it started. Oh, I really wish it hadn't, but it has. There's not a lot I can do about that, I'm afraid, but I'm going to have to ride that one through. So, here we go. So this morning I had a few thoughts. And I was sitting here and I was talking to Tanny and I was like, do you know what? Do you want breakfast? Are you sure you don't want breakfast? Why don't you want breakfast? What do you want me to make you lunch? And I'm saying these things and I'm like, And he's like, no, I'm fine and I'll get something when I'm out. It's all good. It's not a problem. Okay. What do you want me to make you for your dinner? And he goes, I don't know. So, Tanny's one that listens to his body cues. He always has. He probably always will. He doesn't always eat. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't. And I think he's weird. Why do I think he's weird? Well, when I was a kid, I was conditioned by my parents to eat at a certain time, eat certain foods at a certain time of day, and I had to have breakfast at a certain time of day. If I hadn't eaten breakfast by a certain time of day, then there was no breakfast. There was nothing until lunchtime. Then I had to eat at lunchtime and eat what was put in front of me. And then the same as I had to do at dinner time. Now, whether I was hungry or not, because my parents were much older, and I mean much older, they were actually my biological grandparents. So they were, let's just say, they were involved in the last wars, and I mean World War II. They were born during World War I, and they were involved in World War II. Okay, so keep that in mind, please. Okay. So you ate what was on the table, because food waste was not something that was tolerated. And if it was okay if you didn't want to eat what you had, but you'd have to eat it for the next meal. Okay, so if I didn't eat everything for tea, I wouldn't get pudding and I would have it for my breakfast the next day. Did I have a problem with that? No, actually, because it wasn't ever that I didn't want to eat it because I didn't like it. It's because I didn't want to eat that much. I remember a moment with my Aunt Susan, when I was probably about 5. It was just after I'd lost both my front teeth. When I lost both my front teeth, she cut out because it was hanging by a thread and I couldn't speak because it was hanging out my mouth, and the other one I lost on my cousin's arm while we were play fighting. I didn't bite him, his arm just happened to be there and my mouth connected with it, and then my tooth fell out. So they were all coming out anyway, it wasn't a big deal, So that happened. But she used to sit you down on a Sunday and I would have the same size plate as my teenage cousins who were adults. They were big adults. They were at least 14 years older than I was in some cases. Oh no, one of them was 14 years of age. The others were up to, I think, 19, 20 almost. So it was it was increasing. The ages were increases, and there was a huge gap, and I was just a little fella. I really was just a little fella. But she'd say, oh, I got you a surprise, but you have to eat all your lunch. Or you have to eat all your dinner, because Sunday it was dinner. I'd never be able to do it, because I was given an adult portion for a 5-year-old. And to be honest, her portions for Sunday dinner are the kind of thing that Tanny does for Christmas dinner. And it takes us either all day to eat it or several days, as it did last year because we were very ill. It took us several days to eat it, about 3 days, I think, to eat one plate of food. So when I'm sitting there this morning and I'm like, why am I so insistent that I've got to make sure that he's got food? Well, one, I've always been taught that way, that everybody has to eat. And that, you know, you're not allowed to waste food. 2, it's got to be done at a certain time of day. Otherwise, it's not happening, right? And 3, I've just realised that I haven't listened to my body's cues anymore. I don't even know what my body's cues are. And I'm sitting there this morning going, well, he said, are you hungry or something? And I went, no, I'm not hungry. I'm really not hungry. I don't want any food. I'm not hungry. I don't want breakfast. I've got my tea, which I'm still drinking. I'm on my 2nd pot of tea this morning. The Cleaver's tea. I've only put one lot of leaves in, and I've just kind of topped it up just to give the water that little something, because I need to have something. Okay, I still have normal water as well, but you know, I need a bit of something. So, and that's okay, that's fine, that's not a problem. So then I'm suddenly realizing, you know, so as kids we're taught you have to eat at a certain time, and you eat certain foods at a certain time. At school they continue that. When you have kids of your own, you continue that with your kids. And then when you're older and it's just you, or just you and your partner, or just you and your husband, your wife, whatever, you and your partner or whatever, right? And you're like, do you have breakfast this morning? Nah, I'm all good. I don't want any breakfast this morning. And you look at each other like you're a bit weird, but you let it go. Do you want anything for lunch? Nah, I'm not even really picky. I don't want any lunch. Okay. And then you think about tea and you're like, oh, do we want tea? Yeah, a cup of soup will do. And we kind of look at each other like something's wrong. And we look at each other like, are you okay? When in reality, we're fine. It's just our body is actually saying, not hungry, don't need you to eat. Let's not do a big meal. Let's just have something small that's just going to line my stomach. And you're like, okay, let's do that. But we don't do that. We don't do it every single day. We only do it every few days, right? So what I'm doing, because Tanya was like, yeah, but now you're thinking about food, so it's going to be worse. And I went, no, actually, what I'm doing is analysing my thoughts, where they're coming from, where all of this and my relationship with food has come from, why I think the way I do about certain types of food, and certain things to do around food, our rituals to do with food. So, yeah. I said, that's what I'm doing. I said, I'm not worrying about it. I don't care. I really don't. I'm not bothered whether I eat today or not. And I'm not eating today. I had a couple of little bits of ham earlier because I had to take some painkillers. And I can't do painkillers without taking something to eat. So I had these tiny little squares of ham that we had bought off cuts that are in the fridge that I can have a couple when I need to take meds. If I don't need to take the meds, I ain't eating them. That's the way it is. But you got to have something. Just a something. So I did that. Apart from that, no. So I'm doing good apart from the sugar headache, because boy is that just like doof, doof, doof. Right around here in my face. Right around here. Last night it was back here and over here. But it is definitely sugar, lack of caffeine, all that kind of stuff, leaching from my head. And I'm like, okay then, fine. Cool. No problem. So I'm going to go now. I've got a lot of work to do. I've got to get this video out, and I've got a meeting in 10 minutes. So whether this comes out before or after my meeting, it'll be coming out after my meeting at 9 o'clock, okay? Because I just don't have the time. So it's going to come out after, so it's going to be a bit late. But it'll all be good. I will see you guys later. I love you guys heaps. Thank you, my teens. Bye.